Oh yeah, it's embedded to the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with the save. For the second here. A classic counter-attack. And Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's one. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Welcome to this edition of Red Side Trent, here to bring you the review as Forest leave Molineux with 3 points, putting themselves still in 16th place, but back in touching distance of that mid-table kind of spot in the league. Delighted to be joined by Reese Lane and very briefly Christian Brown. Christian, how are you first of all?
Yes, all good here, mate. Thank you. Hope you are as well.
Yeah, not too bad. Looking dapper as you're about to go out and take your good lady out for a meal. Reese, how are you?
Feel like I've had 12 rounds of Alexander Usyk this week, but hopefully we can get over this illness ready for the trip to Everton on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a win last night, which I've seen on social media and within our group that people aren't too happy about, which I don't understand personally, but I'm quite happy. I'm really happy for Igor Jesus, who's finally got off the mark in the Premier League after numerous goalkeeping exposés and referees robbing him of big goals at Anfield and etc. and hitting posts and everything. So I'm really happy for him, but we'll get back into that. We'll get into that later. I'm going to start at the top with the team news, which Murillo, Christian Morato still deputising for him, and Amari Hutchinson starting for the first time in the league in replacement of Nicholas Dominguez, who was, I feel like we were relatively happy with that side going at Wolves, who are stinking up the gaff is probably an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a shame about Murillo. I think we all expected Hutchinson to start. I think that was the one that, following that Brighton game, we all left thinking, right, he's got to start Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. It's non-negotiable at this stage, given what he's giving us on the field, given how direct he is, and the issues he's been causing. It is a shame about Murillo. Again, I do feel that we lose a fair amount, even going forwards. I think when he's not on the field, just because of his passing range and whatnot. But again, I thought the reaction to Morato on Sunday was very over the top. It felt like there was a lot of people who were sort of just waiting for him to make a mistake before pouncing, which is a bit unfortunate. Again, I know he made it was a colossal howler really for the second goal. We can't really account for your centre half under hitting a header back to his goalkeeper, setting him short and conceding directly from that. We all forget though he cleared one off the line that game. He, apart from that incident, he actually didn't have a terribly bad game against Brighton, I thought. So the over-the-top reaction was very, very surprising, I thought. So yeah, I had no qualms with him coming in. I know a lot of people want to see Jay Cunha play, for example. I wouldn't have been against seeing Jay Cunha play purely because I think he's the future for Forest. I think it'd be good to see more of him. But I had no issue with that team. I thought that's pretty much exactly what I would have played personally. Obviously, Murillo being independent, of course. So, yeah, it wasn't a massive shock to me at all.
Yeah. Reece, we started the game off pretty well. We were dominating possession and more or less camping in Wolves' half at times. But, I mean, do you ever think the lack of their intensity sort of nullified us a little bit? I mean, it wasn't the prettiest game of football to watch, if I'm honest. I don't know what about you. And I don't think it would have made you feel any better either, being a little bit under the weather.
Oh no, I mean let's have it right. It was a terrible game to watch in terms of intensity and quality. 2 minutes in, the crowd noise. Wolves have given up. They've just given up. The fans have given up. The players have given up. The only person who hasn't given up at Wolves is Rob Edwards, and that's why at the end he just looked broken because he you can't pull wool over people's eyes on you. He's staring down the abyss, really. It was mentioned on the last pod, if Wolves want to make a fist of staying up, they've got to try and beat teams who are 16th in the Premier League, or they're not going to be beating many teams, are they? And they're already, 13 adrift, something like that, 12, 13 adrift.
They're very much
they're going down. And I just thought all we needed to do was just put together some one bit of quality really first half, and I thought that'd be enough. But we did at times, we either overplayed or the touch was a bit too much, and yeah, just a bit erratic, weren't we, first half? And yeah, I was just a bit worried that because I mean, they'd come out second half and it wasn't as bad as the first half, but I just didn't want us to not seize this opportunity really last night, but thankfully we did.
Yeah. Christian, do you ever think that we sort of sank to their level at times? I mean, yeah, there's nothing there. There was nothing there from Wolves, especially that first half. God.
The thing is, I mean, we all saw it. I mean, we watched it last night. I mean, for full disclosure, I only caught the last 20 minutes first time round. I had to watch the game back, which that's like masochist behaviour, because as Reece alluded to, it was an absolutely diabolical game of football. And watching that for 90 minutes, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But
commitment to the pod.
Pretty much. The thing is, I don't understand how Wolves have gone so wrong. Like it's like they just signed a bunch of League One players and thrown them together and gone, off you go. Because like they're atrocious. There's no other way around it. They're absolutely atrocious. They're the biggest threat to Derby's record since Southampton last year and since Derby themselves. I mean, some of those players must have won their contracts in a cereal box. Honestly, that Wolf at left back, how is he a professional footballer, let alone at Premier League level? He's awful. But the thing is, when you play awful teams like that, that's all they can do. They just try and sink you down to their level. They make it horrible. They scrap, they dive, they kick, and that's exactly what Wolves did. I think Edwards has realised that as well. But it just felt bizarre. Like you sort of alluded to with your question to Reece. It was almost like the Malmo game, really, where they were just sitting in for the first minute. But they're at home. They're a Premier League team doing that at home from the first kick. Like, I know, obviously, Reece, you said in our chat, didn't you, about it? It gave you sort of Southampton vibes that first season. They were worse than Southampton last night, mate. They were much worse than them. But it's almost difficult beating teams like that who are genuinely that bad, because, you're almost trying too hard to compensate for it, and then you end up falling into traps and making silly mistakes. You give the ball away cheaply, etc., etc., etc. But ultimately, all that mattered last night was winning, and I was a little bit surprised, much like you were, Adam, to sort of see people sort of turn their nose up at winning football. You need reminding that we sacked the manager for going 8 games without a win fairly recently. Like, the whole point about football is winning. There is no substitute to that. You win. That's just professional sport. Give me 38 of those in a row, and I'll snap your hand off. Like, yeah, we did what we had to do. That's it. Like, it was a tough and unexpected test because of how they set up. We did what we had to do.
We definitely won games like that under Nuno as well last season.
It's like a new common sensation, is it? Like,
no, absolutely not. Reece, anything to add?
No, I meant the comparison to Southampton from that first season, that away game, is because of the mood around the home team. It was just so similar. It reminded me of a championship game in the Fawaz era midweek, where people are just going to the game as a home fan out of blind loyalty. They're not enjoying it. No one wants to really make any kind of atmosphere. They just know the club's going nowhere. And unfortunately, unless they get an ownership change, Wolves are just going to go downhill. They're going to go down. And
they could go again, mate. They generally could go again.
They've got so many. I'm just looking like the team. They've got so many random players, haven't they? Like Andre and João Gomez will go. They'll probably stay in the Premier League. Or
Strand Larsen as well.
Strand Larsen will go. And then you've not really got much goals,
stuff like that. Like, they're basically playing with 10 men when they brought him on. Let alone when he went off again injured.
He went off.
He's terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I didn't want to speak to you about why it took so long for them to rule out Igor Jesus's first. Well, the goal that got ruled out just not long before half time. Reece, I mean, why is that taking so long? Like, I don't understand why the referee has to go to a monitor either, because I don't know. It's just very strange. I mean, I don't know. It's obviously a tactic from Sean Dyche for Ndoye to be in that position, but he needs to be a little bit more aware as well, I find.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's become a grey area, hasn't it? Because they're not sure what decision to give. As soon as that ball comes in, and Ndoye's just got to move out of Johnston's way, whether that's it goes forward or to the side, because the ball's not going anywhere near Johnston. And, it's a free header for Jesus. I don't think he'll save it either way, whether Ndoye's there or not. But because he's in the line of his side, I mean, I've no idea why it took them 5 minutes to make that decision. I thought the right call was made. You could argue there's a foul on Morata, which the referee kept warning their players for doing. But the lawmakers in football, they've just got to try and close these grey areas of, if anybody's in this, they call it like corridor of uncertainty, don't they, where they're in an offside position, it's just offside, because you can't have like subjective 1 week and then it's different the next. But I thought the right decision was made there, to be honest. And I just don't get why it took 5 minutes. And I was just kind of glad, really, we got to half time then, because that would have given them a little bit of a boost. Because they got away with one, didn't they? And they actually started the second half quite well. They should have gone ahead, really.
Yeah,
the Colombian is Arias. He should have scored. Yeah, that was a sitter, which we got away with. But I thought that was the right decision personally for me.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, the early goal of the game coming like the 72nd minute. I mean, there wasn't a lot to shout about previous. I think Nico Williams had a decent free kick, but you expect a goalkeeper to save it going his side. I don't really remember us making too many efforts at goal, but Amari Hutchinson produced the cross, and Igor Jesus with a moment of madness from Sam Johnson to come out for it, because it's one of them where it's like, can you get there? And he got nowhere near it, thankfully. And Igor heads into an empty net, and no one was ruling that one out for him. And I'm absolutely pleased for him, because he works tirelessly for this team. We got told that's what he'll bring to us. And I'm just so happy for him that he's finally got off the mark in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, you and me both. It must be quite difficult mentally as well, because he's had so many like near misses and harsh moments. Like you touched upon at the start, like obviously he hit the bar against Palace, he hit the bar against Chelsea. Well, he hit the bar and the post against Chelsea. I've never seen a ball do that before. So your luck's against you, He gets a goal like comically ruled out at Anfield against in a borderline match fixing attempt from the officials. I don't know how that's been ruled out or checked. He gets a goal ruled out because Doy's just standing there, like, hand in his pockets, not being aware of the situation. Well, you sort of think, is it ever going to come? Like, but you have to give credit to Jesus. He's chipped away. He deserved a bit of luck like that. I've got no idea what Sam Johnson's doing at that moment in time. I don't know why. If it's like, I suppose if you're a keeper coming out for that, you sort of take everything, don't you? And whatever happens. But he's just too slow to even do that. And yeah, it's an empty header for Jesus. Again, the credit has to go to Hutchinson. Obviously, Hudson-Odoi, the build-up as well, was very direct before we switched the play out to Yates. Yates linked up well with Hutchinson as well, is worth mentioning. But again, I saw a few Wolves fans sort of query why they weren't putting pressure to stop the cross. But as we all know, stop the cross, stop the goal. But again, I think that's more testament to Hutchinson as well, because of his versatility. He's so direct. You sort of wonder if fullbacks being told sort of, guys, give him a few yards back. He'll get past you. He's too quick. He always wants you one-on-one. And he's gone, all right, fine. Just whipped in a peach instead. So it's good to have a winger of that sort of skill set, of course. Great ball in from him. And yeah, just delighted for Jesus. He really deserved that.
Yeah. I mean, Reece, for Amari to first Premier League start and get an assist, and I mean, he's really deserved it, hasn't he? Because we was all wondering on this pod, like, have we overpaid for this lad? And we probably still have, don't get me wrong, but he's starting to show his quality, and he's had to really buy his time with the club. I mean, it took a third manager to actually give him a chance, I'd feel. And we're reaping the rewards now, and it's nice to see a winger who can cross a ball, for goodness sake, because we've not had one for a while. I love Callum, but he can't cross a ball for toffee.
Yeah, he's definitely his most informed winger at the minute, because he's actually willing to try and take a man on and try and do something, because none of the others, Hudson-Odoi and Doy, are doing that in a minute. Obviously, Back was injured. We know we have played other players out on the wing, but they're not out-and-out wingers. So yeah, it is good. My reservations in the summer, which, it started really when he was left out at Europa League squad. I just didn't, excuse me, understand that. I mean, I'm sure he'll be in it in January when it swaps around that, if we're still in the competition. But yeah, it's good to see that he's took his opportunity, hasn't he, really, and it's bearing some fruit for us, because we don't want to be signing players for the money we have for Hutchinson and it not work out. So So yeah, he'll definitely start again, I'd imagine, on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian, I know you're tight for time and you'll be going soon. Is there anything that you'd like to say before you do depart?
Regarding Hutchinson or in general?
In general.
Not so much. I mean, again, like we already sort of touched upon, obviously we'll have harsher tests than this. There's no doubt about that. But you can only beat what's in front of you. We need to win yesterday. We just needed to win. Same as the Leeds game. Just win. That's all that matters. Just win. Like again, I think some people have sort of overlooked just how damaging that period was with Postecoglou, who I hope was watching the cricket today. I hope had a really good time watching England bat as well as they did. But
don't count your chickens yet.
Oh no, it's only day one. But
there's always a collapse on its way.
You've got to sort of like make the most of what you can when you have it. But no, again, we're still not fully out of the woods yet. I mean, I'm loath to sort of say we're in a relegation battle because it's still far too early for that. Personally, it's December. Nothing's decided in December, well, apart from maybe Wolves. But there's a long way to go. Yeah, I think the real battle starts March, April time. That's when you know when you're properly in it or not. But it's not an ideal situation being 16th for the league. We just needed to win. We've closed it. Also, the gap to the teams above us. I think Spurs are only 4-6 points ahead of us at the minute. So, Bournemouth are only 4 points ahead of us in 14th. I think. Imagine saying that when they beat us 2-0, that in 6 games' time they'd be in that position. So, it's still very, very tight. I'm not getting too tight into it. We just needed to win yesterday, and we did. It was a professional performance. It wasn't pretty. It was, but it was effective. It worked. We won. That's it. The end. Draw a line under it. Move on. I hope those that went to Molineux enjoyed it. We won't be there for a while, hopefully. So,
one of the worst away sections in the country, isn't it? Really, but it's good for the home support if you obviously teams rocking. What's your score prediction for Saturday before you go? Tough game against Everton.
Take a point, Cole. 1-1.
Take a point, Cole. 1-1. Oh, fair enough. Well, enjoy your meal out.
Thank you very much.
Let us know any reviews for. I don't know if we ever want to come down to Kent in Ashford. But yeah, speak to you soon. Hopefully speak to you after a win or some sort of good result at the weekend. Reece, I did want to speak to you actually about the winger scenario, because it is funny how you mentioned that when Amari Hutchinson got left out of that Europa League squad, we was always debating like, well, will he play in the Premier League? I was really adamant that he would, and obviously then he didn't. So I was wrong at the time, and now it's come full circle and he's playing. But it's funny to see how Callum and Doy aren't really performing, and now he's like our number one guy at the moment. I mean, I thought Dan and Doy got into some really good areas yesterday, but then he'd either fall over. I mean, he ran the ball out of play when he took on that Chachua at the very start of the game. In the way of Sam Johnson for the goal. I just think like all round his output has not been as good as I'd like it to be, and probably everyone else's. I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the wingers is an interesting position because they do go in and out in form, don't they? See, Alanga last season, he had purple patches, didn't he? And then he had patches of form when he was not very good. Brennan Johnson, the exact same in the first season. We come back up. So they do go in and out of form wingers, apart from probably your elite wingers, really. So yeah, I mean, it can change very quickly. I mean, half a dozen games ago, you just said Hutchinson's third choice winger, and now he's top choice. So it can you can have one good game as a winger, and you're back into contention if your kind of competition has a bad one. You know what I mean? So yeah, Ndoye. I think his game was probably summed up really with his first action of the game, which he absolutely skinned as it touched Shua.
Yeah.
And then he just overtouched and just ran the ball out. The first touch was superb, and then he just ran it out. And I'm like, oh, what a great position he got himself into there. And then he just really struggled, didn't he? I'm not sure whether it's a confidence issue. I'm not sure whether it's adapting to the Premier League, coming from obviously Serie A. I'm not too sure what it is with Ndoye at the minute. But he's just struggling a little bit into it at the minute, bless him. But when as well, Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's not really, I'd say, showing a lot as well. It's like, well, you just hope you're playing someone for the sake of trying to play him back into form. You know what I mean? So it's not not ideal, I'd say, on that left-hand side at the minute.
At least like Joe last season, we had Jota and Sosa, and you kind of didn't know who to put your hat on. At least you can almost pretty much say that I think Dan and Doy and Callum are obviously better quality. I think when Backward comes back, that'll be interesting. Does he potentially play out on the left? Does he play on the right and have competition with Amari? I think that's a good headache for Sean Dyche, and at least then you've got good rotational options there. I mean, Dominguez, I thought he did really well there, but I'd like to see him more in the centre of midfield personally. But again, I don't know where he stands in the pecking order because Yates got on before him yesterday and made a slight difference with being involved in the build up for the goal. So that's good. Before we get to some player performances, we will do some slept on it thoughts.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Snowboard Pete, at the end of the day, scrappy wins are a win. A few weeks down the line, we call it a win. At this current moment, it's getting points and creating a gap between us, then pushing up the league. Really pleased for Jesus to get his Premier League goal roll on Saturday. And I already know that he's wearing shorts next week in Utrecht from your conversation, Reece. So that's good. Johnny Ancliffe, 3 huge points, a proper Sean Dyche win away from home onto Everton. Thomas Payne, huge 3 points, not pretty, but got the job done. 4 wins in our last 5. Not that you knew it from all the negativity. Roll on Everton. Gareth, sometimes you have to win it ugly. Tonight was one of those nights. Not a kind of win that helps on the path to survival, but does nothing for the nerves. This had 1-0 written all through it like a stick of rock. Maybe the performance had an eye on more demanding fixtures ahead. Tom Newton, really awful game of football. 0 quality for the majority of the game. Thankfully, we found that little bit of quality for our goal. You can see why they're struggling absolutely poor in the final third, which was relief for us. Happy for the win, but we have to do better. Ben, one of the worst games I've ever been to, but could not care less. Massive 3 points, especially with Leeds winning. All-round game of Jesus is brilliant. Special mention to Rob Jones on VAR for taking 5 minutes on 2 separate decisions that my grandma could have made in 30 seconds. NFC time Balkan win away. Jerry Pritchard, it was a win, but what a dreadful game. It's a good job Wolves are awful as we were very poor. Morato is honking. Cunha must be crap in training. And Doy was useless, but Hutch did okay. Hope Backward steps up soon. I mean, scathing from Jerry Pritchard. What was your thoughts on Morato? Because I actually thought, like Christian mentioned, I thought he was okay against Brighton. Yes, he made the mistake. But I thought last night was pretty steady. And I mean, I think we've not even mentioned, actually, we've won a game of football without Murillo, Ola Aina and Chris Wood. I know maybe the other two, we've won obviously a few more games because we've had Murillo, but it's not if you starting centre half there who's chalking. He's night and day above a lot of our players, isn't he? So to win a game away from home is pretty good without him as well.
Yeah, I think I've said about Morato before. I think he's okay. Yeah, he can be erratic at times, as seen by Sunday. He's never going to be a starter for us, isn't he? He was brought in really to add some cover, and that's what you get. And you're going to get a drop-off from Murillo because I think whatever centre-half you put in, there's going to be a drop-off from Murillo because nobody's as good as Murillo at centre-back for us. That's just the way of the world. But I thought he did all right last night. I mean, he wasn't tested much, but what he had to do... Apologies. What he had to do, I thought he did it. So yeah, obviously got a clean sheet, and that's all you can ask for, really. Obviously, you're hoping Murillo's back on Saturday because he's a massive miss because he's such a good footballer. On the game as like a whole as well, I'm not, I know like social media is a bit negative, etc. But like Christian said, like last night for me as well was just about getting the 3 points. We was all winchell banana skin as well as poor as Wolves have played this season. Villa struggled with them at the weekend, only beaten 1-0, and Villa are absolutely flying at the minute. They're probably the form team in the Premier League, and they only just got by them. So we've done the job last night, and I think it just has to be a bit of like kind of walk before we run still. Sean Dyche has been brought in to steady the ship, which he's done brilliantly. But we're still down at the bottom of the table. We still just need points on the board. We've kind of rescued that Europa League campaign to put us in a fair position, but we're still juggling with injury issues, with fitness issues. Obviously, the volume of games is all new to us. You know, and it's been an absolute mess off the pitch, hasn't it? Pre-season and then into the season with the Nuno debacle and Edu and then Ange. So, you know, we have had a bit of a plaster put over us, haven't we, really? So sometimes when, you know, we're not like, we played better on Sunday than we did last night, but we lost the game. So all I'm thinking last night is just go and get the 3 points, whether it's by hook or crook. And we did that. It wasn't vintage. It wasn't a good game of football. We didn't play well, but we've got the 3 points. So we just got to keep putting points on the board. And just maybe, I know we're all disappointed with how the season's gone, myself included, from the highs of last season. But, you know, it's just about carrying on steadying that ship in a minute. And, you know, because we're still not away from that bottom 4. I think it's a 4-point gap as it stands with West Ham to play. Because, like, look, who'd have thought Leeds would have beat Chelsea last night? You know what I mean? So there can be some weird results. So it's just about us keep putting points between us and the bottom 3 at the minute, and then gradually, hopefully, moving up the league. Really,
Well,
I'm winning personally.
I mean, we've seen how quickly things can change. I mean,
Villa
had a bad start, and now have shot themselves into champion. They're third now.
13 games in, 14 games in.
Yeah, 14. Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth, when we lost to them, I think were they second or third?
Yeah.
Now we're really 4 points behind.
It's very tight.
Things can change extremely quickly in this division at the moment, and we're still in a position where get a few wins and you're back in that.
I mean, if we beat Everton and Spurs, I'm not saying God it's going to be easy. Of course it's not, but we'd probably be really mid-table, wouldn't we? I bet we'd be the typical Crystal Palace position of somewhere like 12, something like that.
Yeah, unless the results went our way. So we'll see. I'm going to give a quick shout out, obviously, to our sponsors. We've got Trent Side Threads. I mean, the Igor Jesus one, you've got to get that now because now it's
should be flying off the shelves.
Yeah, so use our code RSOT for 10% off. That's RSOTT, TrentSideThreads.co.uk. That will fly off the shelves. I mean, he's got 7 goal contributions in all competition. I'm giving that Savona. That's definitely an assist for him because that was a great header down. So, I mean, I think he's doing brilliantly, Igor, but we'll speak about him a little bit more in depth. And then Vesta Blinds. VestaBlinds.com, info@VestaBlinds.com for their email address. Phone numbers on the screen as well. If you want to get in touch with them, get some nice blinds for your house. They will do you a job. We're still waiting for scripts off Mr. James Rabin to give more information about his lovely company and what they can offer. So we'll await that. But yeah, check out VestaBlinds.com for more. But yeah, let's talk about Igor because I think he deserves a bit more in-depth kind of chat about him because he's come with a goal record, Reece. That wasn't anything that jumped off the page as such. Halfway through, or pretty much full season in Brazil already played, and it's been reported that he's absolutely smashing it with all the running stats and everything in training. He's really different to what we've ever had, isn't he? Because I just hope he scores more goals than he has done.
Yeah, I mean, when we had Nathan on the pod in the summer, I kind of said to him, is he like a Roberto Firmino kind of player where I know he plays down the middle, but you just see more of the work rather than the goals, and he agreed with that. I mean, Tim Vickery likened him to Didier Drogba, didn't he? I mean, but he's all round game. You can't not, you know, he's physical, he'll run the channels, he'll try and make life difficult for the defenders. And so I'm really pleased he got his first goal because, you know, I know Johnson's he's coming out for that, but you've got to get yourself in there, haven't you? You know, and be prepared there to take a whack really and get above defenders as well. So, really, really pleased for him, and hopefully that will be the start of seeing him score some goals in the Premier League. But again, I thought he worked really hard again last night. I don't think any Forest fan can moan at his work rate personally. It's just obviously his goal output, which is what a striker, to be fair, is kind of, you know, rated on, aren't they?
Yeah. Do you think we miss Chris Wood in that sense? Because he was someone that he wouldn't do what Igor's doing in terms of going out into the channels, and he's more of a bounce board sort of striker, but he's always just in between the posts. He's not doing all the craziness that Igor's doing, is he?
Just say that again, mate. Sorry.
Do you think we're missing Chris Ward basically?
Well, with the amount of goals he scored last season, yeah, you'd have to say so, wouldn't you? Because, well, I mean, everything he hit Chris Wood last season turned to gold, didn't it? This season, when he did play, he wasn't as prolific, but he's had minimal game time. I wouldn't say we've. Would you say we've? I don't think we've missed. Would you say we've missed the goal output? But I wouldn't say we've missed his all-round play. Personally, I think Jesus has come in and done a good job for him.
I don't think we've created near enough the good chances that Chris Wood had last season for Igor. Anyway, I feel still feel like it's a process that we're getting to.
A cynic might say that might be Chris Wood's experience and movement of knowing where to be in the Premier League, etc. The positions to be. Just his experience, just is a lot more than Jesus. But yeah, I wouldn't say we missed him overly, no.
We're just going to talk about Gibbs White as well yesterday, Reece, because I thought he worked really hard. I mean, it didn't look like he did loads, but then the stat nerds have come out and said he was our most creative player and won the most duels and tackles. So what the hell do I know if I'm not watching the game? But I actually thought him not being... So for some reason, when he doesn't get the ball absolutely loads, I feel like he might have a better game. Weirdly, but he came off. Well, he looked like he was struggling towards the end. Playing, he looks like he's playing through a pain barrier. Do you expect to still see him at the weekend, or do you think James McAtee might come in, or even a change of going to 3 in midfield, just because Everton how they like to play with the 3 in there?
Well, the manager said today should be fine. If he's got a bit of an injury to his back, he might be having pain-killing injections. I don't know, because he did look a little bit uncomfortable, didn't he, coming off at the end? But he's got a Player of the Month nomination today, which is brilliant because he's found his form again, hasn't he? Which is really good. So I'd expect to see him on Saturday. And to be honest, I think Wolves fans have just lost that much faith. They even couldn't be asked to boo him last night. That's how bad.
No, they couldn't, could they?
No.
With Everton on Saturday, I mean they've been in mixed form, but they are 10th in the league. They're not scoring loads of goals, not conceding a lot, but they beat Bournemouth in the week actually. I think Jack Grealish scored. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from them? Because it's going to be a tough game at the lovely new Hill Dickinson.
First visit for, I'd imagine, 99.9% of Forest fans who are travelling, unless somebody's already ground upped it, which I'm sure there probably is somebody. Everton are a solid team, aren't they? I think with David Moyes' side, you're always going to get a solid team. You're probably not going to get, a real attacking team. Probably similar to what kind of managers stereotypically what Sean Dyche is labelled as, I guess. But you always get a solid side. And they've had some really good results recently. Bournemouth result, a cracker. Manchester United with 10 men away from home, a cracking result. And then they seem to get, they have the odd stinker like losing to Newcastle at home, who've been awful away 4-1. So it'll be an interesting one because obviously Dyche is going back to his old club, to the ground he helped build, I guess, because I think if you actually speak to a few Everton fans, they say he was instrumental in actually pushing that through for the club. I'm not sure what kind of reception he'll get, to be honest, Dyche. Whether it'll be mixed or, Everton love to boo, don't they? So probably be that. But it'll be a tough game, mate. But I think it'll be a close game, and I'd probably maybe have the feeling for a draw on Saturday. Personally, a tight draw.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely delighted with that. With our week, I know we lost against Brighton, but they're flying this season. I know they had a stinker last night, being 2-0 up and losing. Well, an absolute cracker. We have had some great good games this week. 5-4 and 4-3. Yeah. Like old Barclays, get him back.
Then we get our game last night.
Oh, an absolute stinker! But you take them all day sometimes when you're near towards the bottom, and you need the win. So I think Everton is an interesting one. I'd like to think Dyche will get a good reception if those rumours are true, and also like he had him in dire straits, but I think he'll have a point to prove because he would have probably felt like if he'd got a bit more of a back in and maybe had the likes of Jack Grealish and Keenan Dewsbury all at his disposal, maybe they'd get propped up. But I think the one thing that I do like in our favour is they've got absolutely no striker. I don't think that
I don't
Tiano
see
Barry's
it.
done it. He's not done anything.
No.
Beto is very like whatever. It's Njai and Grealish and Dewsbury Hall and James Gardner. You kind of I feel more of, and then set pieces because they've got big lads like Tarkowski and Michael Keane, and they're pretty solid at the back. So I feel like we're there to be got, and I do think having Murillo available could prove the difference. But I wouldn't be too disappointed if it is Morato still, because I just feel like their strikers don't really offer much, to be honest.
I think my biggest, that's going to be the curse, isn't it? That Barry will get off the mark now. But he's someone who cropped up in the summer who, had really good stats in La Liga for Villarreal. I think he cropped up on a few Forest fans' wish lists, and players come to the Premier League. We're seeing one at Liverpool at the minute, 120 million, and he just can't hit the ground running. So, even with someone like Ndoye, 35 million for us, it's not, there's better players on paper who are struggling with the Premier League. So it might take a bit of time. My worry on Saturday is probably Grealish against Savona. I think Savona's got to be very, very smart against Grealish, because there's probably nobody better in the Premier League than Jack Grealish at winning fouls. Yeah. So I think Savona's got to really stick to his task, and I think Milenkovic will play a big role of kind of guiding him on that right side of that defence on Saturday, because I love Jack Grealish. I would have had him with us in a heartbeat in the summer, an absolute heartbeat.
100%.
He'd even get in my England squad, but that's another conversation. But yeah, hopefully we can go there and get a result. And if we play well, mate, we can go there and win. There's no doubt about that. I know, like you've said, a point would be a great result, and it would, but we can go there and win. So last season we had Murillo injured in the warm up and was all in the ground, worried sick, thinking, the old take a point call. I think that's the game it actually come from, didn't it? And then I know Everton were in a bit of a disarray back then, but we went and won 2-0. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can get a positive result.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Grealish, with him being how he is, I do wonder whether in Dyche's head is he thinking about Dominguez, or is it on Elliot Anderson and maybe Sangare, whoever potentially is on that side to help Savona out when they can and double up on him and try and nick the ball off him that way. And yeah, I think like you say, I think we've got to be cautious with fouls, because Everton's big strength has always been set pieces, has been for years, but they are a big team, Joe, with like Jake O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane, and Brandfoy, I don't know he's just made a biscuit, so he don't play very much. But they're all big lads. So
Barry and Beto are, aren't they? Beto's a big lad, you know what I mean? So
he's bloody massive, yeah. I bet he has long showers.
that would mean obviously going to kind of a flat three if we played Dominguez, or switching Hutchinson to the left, wouldn't it? Because you need Dominguez on the right to cover with Savona. But it'd be interesting, because definitely. I think with the volume of games as well, Sean's doing it on kind of a day-to-day basis, into with knocks and that. I think we have got quite a few knocks of players I think who are still playing at the minute as well, personally.
Yeah, well, and with Utrecht next week on the Thursday, so. But I expect probably a rotated side for that. But that we can talk about that later.
Hopefully, see Bakwa.
Yeah, hopefully, there'll be McAtee, Bakwa, Kalimawendo. I actually think Kalimawendo might get on at the weekend for maybe 20 minutes, because I just think Igor last night ran his socks off, and he's going to run his socks off again on Saturday. I just feel like if we're maybe winning or drawing, I think Kalimawendo might, or even losing. I just feel like Kalimawendo will get 20-25 minutes just to build that bit of fitness and sharpness up. It
depends if Tarkowski and O'Brien or Keane are eating them up, aren't they? If we're going long and they're winning every aerial battle, then you're going to have to try and get Kalimawendo on and get it on the floor and in the channels. So we'll see.
I'd like to see us get at Jake O'Brien, because he's a centre half really by trade. I know he can operate at right back. He was actually quite good for them last season in the game at the City Ground, I think. But I just think that's a target we've got to make. I'm Mikalenko. I don't think he's the best of left backs in the league. So
hopefully Hutchinson against him.
Yeah, get some isolate. So are you going with a draw for Saturday?
Yeah, I'll go with a draw, mate. A 1-1.
Yeah, I think I might sit on the fence as well and I'll get some splinters with you, to be honest. But
we're weekends, we are.
But I would not be shocked for a 1-0 win either, because I just feel like it would be very Dyche to come back and haunt his old team and get one over him. So let's hope for that. But anything else you got to add?
No, mate. I'm good, thank you.
Good. Well, I mean, it was an absolute diabolical game last night. I don't think there's much more to say about it, but we're very happy we've won a game of football again, especially after losing at the weekend. So if you've enjoyed the pod, do drop us a like. 149 people in here. Obviously, check out our sponsors in Trent Side Threads and Vesta Blinds. That goes a long way. We'll see you back for the Everton review. That'll probably be on Sunday morning, I would have thought. Hopefully celebrating some sort of good result for Forest. But until then, come on, you Reds.